Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned in to the Sajda channel. I'm your host, Sajda Wendy Muhammad, and we're going to be talking this morning about being erased on purpose and the importance of preserving Black history. Be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll be right back after a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer. See you in a few.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee. And he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserved to be served besides Thee. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajda channel. You're tuned in to Coffee Talks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got an exciting show today, an informative show. I'm just sitting here getting my notes together, making sure I can access it. I had some videos that I was thinking about showing us, but I said, we just going to talk it through and go through some of these notes. But we're talking today about the importance of preserving our history. And I know we hear about it. For some of us, it's all the buzz. Some of us are really trying to grasp the concept, because we have to move from a old mindset into a new mindset. And so there's a lot of little habits, right, that we have to get rid of before we start doing for self, or during the process of creating partnerships and collaborations. We really, really got to get rid of this colonizer's mindset. Some of us are identity hijackers. Some of us are haters and competitors. And so we ourselves can't even bring ourselves to being down for preserving our own history, because we don't like ourselves. So I know this involves a lot of work, and I know that this may actually be a tough conversation. But I want you to hang in there, okay? And hang through it so that we understand history and preserving history on a deeper level. Okay. Couple quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be doing part 2 of this discussion right here on the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks. And then from 4 to 6 p.m., we're doing a networking event and a book signing at the Silver Room in Hyde Park here in Chicago. So if you're in town, drop by, grab a copy of the book, network, bring your business cards. We're going to be talking and networking and really getting into the art and science of business. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in here so that we don't waste too much time. And I had to give me some notes, because this is a subject that is so near in my heart. And I know I'll start talking, but I want to begin with the truth. Okay. Black history in America is not being forgotten. It is being removed, and has been being removed since we were kidnapped and brought over here. I know a lot of people don't like that reference, but that's real. So when we were kidnapped and brought over here, we lost our language, we lost our names, and we lost our history. And then more recently, especially during the civil rights era, we start feeling like, okay, Black history is now in school. We start feeling like we were making strides. Well, now that history is more fervently being removed and erased. It's quiet, it's consistent, but it's being removed. Many of you have heard me quote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he said that history is best at rewarding its students. But today, there's too many forces working overtime to keep us from being students of our own history. We have a beautiful, rich, illustrious history that we're being blocked from. We are living in a moment where memory itself is under attack. Now, let's get into this. Let's talk about the data behind the erasure. All right. Black museums are underfunded and under siege. According to the American Alliance of Museums, only 1.2% of American museums are Black focused. Black museums receive up to 70% less funding than comparable white-led institutions. Over 34% of Black history museums report that political pressure has increased since 2020. And many are being told to tone down or soften their narratives so they don't make visitors uncomfortable. And in many cases, most of us are depending on government dollars. And so we are doing this code switching. We're toning things down. We're even going so far as to not even tell the true story of the person or persons that our museum is even about. That's a whole nother thing, but we're being told, tone it down, soften it, okay? Our historic sites are disappearing. Did you all know that? More than 70% of Black historic sites are not officially registered or protected. That's one thing. And even if they never get registered or protected, we know that we should be trying to acquire these sites, own these sites, represent these sites so that we own and monetize them, even if nobody ever registers them or protects them. Okay. This is I think tomorrow we'll go deeper into the erasure of civilizations and the erasure of great people who have contributed to civilization. We'll go into that tomorrow. So I'll try to stay away from that. But more than 70% of our Black historic sites are not officially registered or protected. At least 50 Black towns founded after Reconstruction have vanished. Okay. They've been absorbed by highways, suburbs, regentrification, development. Many Black homes of national significance are unmarked and neglected despite their value. Now, I was going to show us some videos here, but I'm going to not do that. We're going to talk right on through this. I'm going to give you some modern examples of erasures that you might recognize that you can go and research. Okay. In tech and innovation, many tech companies rewrite the origin story. Or let's say you work for them and you make a powerful discovery. Well, your name is not included. we can look at Hidden Figures. We can even look at the sister who wrote The Matrix and some of these movies and things like that. Black pioneers in entertainment, in STEM, in AI, gaming, fashion, beauty are often left out until hundreds of years later. A lot of this is done purposely, but it makes it so easy when we have been brainwashed to not value one another. I try to make it in my own personal life very, very personal, if you will, to value other people. I value your authenticity. I value your story. if you do something and I'm doing it, I give you credit for it. If I even, wear a garment from one of my African sisters or a sister in the nation that made it for me, I will make sure that that person gets the credit for it. These are little granular levels of integrity that we have to make sure that we are careful of. Man, there's so much I can say. I'm gonna keep going. Then there's the attacks on African American studies in schools. Okay, you all can Google this. States are banning books, restricting curriculum, and labeling truthful history as indoctrination or conspiracy theories. Okay, so look this up. I want you to go, you can go to YouTube University, all right, and look this up. States banning books, banning our history, not teaching it anymore, softening it, changing it, watering it down. Okay, there's places around the country that were once thriving historic cities that we could learn from that are being regentrified. You got places like Orange Mound in Memphis, one of the oldest Black communities in the United States. And you have developers attempting to demolish it. Look those up, okay? There's pressure on museums like the Whitney Plantation, where institutions are facing backlash for being too honest about the realities of slavery and racism. So it's not just our slave history, though, that is being erased. Our history of who we were before we were even kidnapped and came here has all but been erased. I'm so grateful to hear that our brother Brian Kugler is writing a movie about Mansa Musa. Most people don't know about that great legacy. Again, this attempt to completely wipe us off the planet, erase us, turn us into these AI robots with no experience, no nothing, is underway. Okay? The civil rights movement is being watered down. It's been being watered down. School materials erase the violence, the surveillance, the sacrifice behind the movement, the strategic planning behind the movement. Contemporary Black spaces are being lost, like Black bookstores, culture centers, jazz clubs, heritage neighborhoods, like Harlem, Bronzeville, like I mentioned, Orange Mound. They're being gentrified out of existence. This is why you hear me talk about the importance of urban historic preservation. We're just talking about one period of history. Because during the Great Migration, I explained this again, when our people came from the South up to the North, they were restricted using a red line on a map. That's why they call it redlining, to certain areas of a city. And in those areas of the city, like we do everywhere we go, history was made. And so the history that we stand on today that we call pop culture, modern day American or modern day world history, was built on the backs of those migrants. But now that their identities have been hijacked, so people looked at how they dress and they stole that without giving them credit, looked at how they acted and stole that without giving them credit, looked at the music, at their song, their dance, and stole that without giving them credit. Their inventions and things that they did to contribute to the Industrial Revolution, stole that without giving them credit. Patents, trademarks, stole that without giving us credit. The hijacking they feel has already been done. Now, the plan is to erase the original authors. A lot of that is happening through gentrification, because in these neighborhoods, properties that are important to underserved communities are being erased. And that's why it's important that we specifically tell you that Black history must be preserved. Okay? Our heroes are being unpersoned. It happens through algorithm suppression, selective media narratives, PR campaigns, digital erasures of Black creators, leaders, thinkers, not distributing a podcast that has certain subject matter. And even us as individuals who have adopted the minds of the conqueror are doing the same thing. And some of us are saying, well, why does this matter? Why? First of all, let's talk about identity. Preserving our history strengthens our sense of self. Okay. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to first love ourselves. So preserving our history strengthens our sense of who self really is. Most of us don't even know who our self is. We spend most of our time trying to be like somebody else. We have no individualized, no authenticity. So preserving our history strengthens our sense of self. It roots us in the truth of who we are. We're a people of vision. We're a people of incredible strength, resilience, genius. There have been all matters of things done to us, but we've survived. We're creative. We're sacred. We have purpose. When our homes, stories, artifacts, and leaders are honored, we are reminded of our lineage and lifted by the dignity that it brings. A well-preserved history equips our children with confidence, clarity, and pride in their inheritance. It nurtures a powerful internal narrative. I come from greatness, and greatness is expected of me. Identity. That's why preserving our history is important. Let's talk about generational continuity. Historic preservation creates a living bridge between the past, the present, and the future. And you all hear me all the time talk about the recognition of patterns. So success in business has to do with pattern recognition. So can you recognize a pattern? Excuse me. If you see the pattern, can you manipulate the pattern? But the gift that we have, because of that identity I just told you about, is that we recreate and create patterns over and over and over again. We're always creating a new vernacular, a new culture, a new dance, a new way of doing something. We will go somewhere and be the ones that help bring about the efficiency in a factory, in a workplace. We're always creating new patterns. So while other people are busy copying our patterns, we are creating patterns. And we can be even bigger when it comes to creating patterns. We can own and monetize those patterns if we understand the importance of historic preservation. Historic preservation allows each generation to build on what came before them. It allows us to carry forward the lessons, the achievements, the values, and the spiritual guidance. It requires faith. Our preserved spaces like museums, cultural districts, archives, ancestral homes become classrooms of this legacy. I'm going to say that again. Our preserved spaces, I like to refer to them as sacred spaces, museums, cultural districts, archives, stories, ancestral homes, artwork become classrooms of legacy. They help our children understand the journey and empower them to continue it with purpose. And That continuity produces stability. That continuity produces excellence. That continuity produces long-term sustainable progress. Let's talk about the economic power. History is a source of wealth. Did y'all know that? You should have deducted that, even if you don't really know what it means, because people wouldn't be so busy trying to keep us and separate us from our history if it didn't have value. Preserve Black neighborhoods, cultural corridors, historic homes, museums, generate economic ecosystems, creating jobs, attracting investments, drawing tourism, increasing property values. They anchor community development and stimulate local businesses. By protecting sites of cultural significance, we secure assets that can be leveraged for generations. Preservation turns memory into capital. It turns heritage into opportunity. It turns cultural wealth into economic expansion. I'm just giving y'all the high level of these values because I can go into each one of these can be a show. Let's talk about the political strength. Excuse my voice this morning. A community that is grounded in its history moves through the world with clarity and purpose. You can show up at a table with people who represent all different cultures and feel solid in who you are. Knowledge of our leaders, organizers, strategists, and movements give us a strong foundation for civic engagement and collective action. Historical awareness sharpens our vision. Historical awareness strengthens our unity. And it fuels our effective decision-making. It equips us to participate in public life with confidence and strategic understanding. Preservation builds political maturity, continuity, and power. See, we wouldn't be so submissive. This is me adding my own personal thing that is a pet peeve of mine. We wouldn't be so submissive to certain political parties if we understood our history. If we understood the treatment that we received from different people, we would be more issues driven. We would say, no, we have an agenda that addresses some of the problems that are going on in our community. And so I'm not going to blindly identify with you or you, because I want to know where you stand on the issues that affect my community. See, this takes us into cultural sovereignty. Owning and preserving our story reinforces our authority over our cultural narrative. I can't stress this enough. Our identities are being hijacked. And what's so bad about it is that many of us, and I don't mean this to put us down, I mean this to really wake us up. Because many of us think we're really smart and we study what the powers that be. We study what the white man does. We study what the government does. We study whoever we think is in power and authority. People with money. Oh, rich people do this. You hear this all the time in poor communities. I call us poor because we talk this kind of talk. Well, rich people do that. Rich, we see somebody and they don't look like us, so they must be rich. And so we start mimicking behaviors that are bad behaviors, that are satanic behaviors. Do you know that when you are cutting somebody off from the activity of life, you're cutting them off from their economics, you hijack their identity? That is really satanic. See, because I'm so invested in your story and your authenticity, the way I see you move, the way I see you dress, the way I see you conduct yourself, That's all part of your authentic story that you should own and monetize. How dare I, or how dare they come and steal that and then say, yeah, well, we're going to monetize off of it. It's incredible. We have to ensure that our symbols, our heroes, our rituals, our achievements are interpreted properly with reverence, with truth, with respect, with depth. Cultural sovereignty empowers us to define ourselves, curate our own legacy, and guide how our contributions are presented to the world. Because we don't own how we're presented to the world. We don't even think about how being presented to the world is important to us. Everything that I do, everything about me is a offshoot or a byproduct of the authenticity of who I am. From how I dress, to how I wear my hair, to the hats I wear, to the clothes I put on, all of that represents culturally who I am. And I'm very careful when I travel around the world and I may pick up a piece here or there. I'm picking up pieces that are important and spiritually connected to me. That's a whole nother subject. We have to start transforming our creativity, our memory, and our intellectual heritage into institutions that benefit our communities. When we preserve our culture, we affirm our right to exist, to speak, and to shape our destiny. If somebody just looks at you and looks at how you walk and then just say, I'm going to start walking like that. And then I'm going to start paying people to walk like that. You invented that. That's you. But preservation has to be a movement, has to be a forward moving, empowering event. It has to be focused on our identity, the continuity of who we are, but it's a sacred responsibility and a strategic assignment, because we are going up against 400 plus years of erasure. And that's just in this modern, we're really looking at thousands of years. Thousands of years. And because these people control the textbooks, they control the narrative, we walk up to a building and we go, oh, this building was created by so-and-so architect. We don't know that. We believe it because they wrote it down somewhere. So I want to end this conversation by coming up with a call to action. Okay, and there's a few. I want us to start really focusing on restoring and preserving our historic homes. Okay, our historic homes are living monuments, spaces where brilliance was cultivated. Just living there, where people slept, where people moved throughout their life. They were cultivating brilliance. They were forming strategies. They were building movements in these spaces. Restoring them allows us to transform private memories into public knowledge. These homes become places where our children can walk the same floors as our pioneers, feel the energy of our leaders, and understand the conditions that shape their genius. Restoration is more than construction. It's cultural resurrection. Another thing we can start doing is strengthening our museums. See, museums are the heartbeat of our cultural memory. We strengthen them by supporting their programs, expanding their collections, investing in their leadership, ensuring they are professionally sustained for generations to come. You may have things in your attic that are from your great-great-grandparent who was part of a movement, or may look like nothing to you, that can be handed over to a Black museum and preserved for the world to see. Again, we have to get off of this dependency of funding from other people who don't look like us and figure out how to monetize and fund our museums ourselves. See, because when you take somebody else's money, you can't do what you want to do. If I take somebody else's money, somebody who may want to come to my museum and cause harm, I can't say, no, you can't come here with that energy. But if it's our money, I can say, I reserve the right to deny access. If I take someone else's money, then I have to make sure, all of us, when we're using money to preserve our history, make sure that that person understands and respects the authenticity of your history. Make sure that when they are donating, that they're not donating to control you, and that later on down the line, this won't come back to bite you. Make sure that your history is being respected. There are going to be many people that are going to want to support your museum and your efforts. Make sure that the heart is aligned with yours, and that it's not an effort to make it transactional. One thing that's interesting for me in this preservation space, I'm so passionate about it. I look at other people that are in the space as my sisters and brothers, but I realize, and I've been learning this lately, that for a lot of people, it's all just transactional. It's really just, it's just about, look, I want to do this because I want to create an attraction and draw people to it and make money, and whatever it is I got to do to get this money, I'm going to do it. For me, what's so important is humanizing our ancestors, humanizing our people, helping others to understand the contributions that we've made to society. See, a lot of us are afraid to speak of that. We sit down and we go, oh, here's the so-and-so museum. But we don't talk about on a personal level and let you feel the spirit and the heart of the people. Some of the things that we try to do, we're very committed to that at the Elijah Muhammad House Museum. From the artwork that we put forward, you're going to feel the people that the house represents. And it's so much that we all can learn. Do you know how much I learn from the history of other cultures? I've been a student of world history and in love with world history since I was in grammar school. And when I travel, a big part of that is understanding archives and going to museums and learning about the culture and how the culture is folded into who the people are. I love that, and I respect it so much so that even in business, when I would travel around as a consultant, I'm very clear on the different cultures that exist within our community and within America. So even down to when you're going from state to state or place to place, things are different. We do business a little different here in Chicago from the way they do it in New York, maybe even different from Houston or Phoenix. Our people are not a monolith. There are experiences and life, the vicissitudes of life that have created who we are. So the history of a person from Baltimore and what's in their epigenetics might be different from somebody who's from Nebraska. That's how deeply we should respect a person's culture and where they come from. Okay, so we have to fund and expand our archives. Many of y'all got archives right there in your family. We have to expand them. We have to monetize them. We have to put money behind them. We have to digitize them. We have to make them available. Okay. Archives are our long-term memory. Funding them ensures that documents, photographs, letters, newspapers, oral histories, business records, artistic creations, sacred artifacts are preserved with excellence. Okay. So well-resourced archives help researchers uncover forgotten truths. This is something that's happening with museums. And this is another thing that we have to help guard against. A lot of us are maybe being successful in acquiring the land or the house or the property, but we don't own the intellectual asset. So somebody else owns the name, the patent, the trademark, the music, the royalties. Somebody else owns it. So we have this edifice, but we can't incorporate the spirit of what made that person who they are because we don't own that. So we have to start the fight on that level too. Filing lawsuits, doing what we got to do to take back even that part of the narrative. So when you come into that place or that space, you're there, but it's not somebody else that owns the intellectual property. And if you reach out to me, I can tell you how to do that with relative ease. I'm not going to say that here, but there are things that you can do, and I can help you with that. If you want to email me, I do historic preservation consulting, and I can help you figure out how to own more than just the property. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right. Because now what I see happening is that they're like, okay, y'all can get the property, but you can't talk about slavery. You can buy the plantation, but you can't talk about slavery. You can buy the plantation and I'm going to give you $100,000 to help you create a museum, but you can't talk about slavery. Or you can buy the home, but you can't play the person's music. Or you can buy the cultural district, but you can't talk about the revolution that happened on the land there. Do you see what's happening? That's the new move. And I can help you strategically. And this is where a lot of us get scared because we're like, oh no, these are giants that own this stuff. But it's not as difficult as you may think. Okay. Now, we also have to protect our sacred spaces. That's another call to action. Okay. Our sacred spaces, our homes, our districts, the cemeteries, the mosques, the churches, the schools, the meeting halls, the freedom towns, the places of resistance are all spiritual anchors of our communities. Okay. Protecting these spaces ensures that future generations understand where prayers were prayed, decisions were made, battles were fought, victories were celebrated. These spaces carry the vibration of our ancestors, and safeguarding them maintains a spiritual connection that strengthens our future. All right. So, and then this is a new business venture that a lot of us are going into it, but I want you to have a certain amount of intention because our stories have to be told with discipline, integrity, love, respect. Document your own family histories, record your elders, publish our histories, write a book, publish it, teach our youth, support our cultural institutions. We got to start folding history into everything that we do. You want to start elevating people who are curating our narrative. Stop dissing the museum owner. Stop looking down. Support. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, sometimes we spend so much money on weird stuff. Some of us are just weirdos. We don't realize it. We spend money hijacking other people's identity. We spend money trying to make sure that we look better than the next person. And you know something that I started doing? That extra money that you may say, well, I'm going to get this $10,000 purse or this $5,000 bag or this whatever. Give it to a museum. Give it to somebody who's curating history. Before you go buy that $150,000 watch, think about how that $150,000, instead of giving it and buying a watch to help preserve somebody else's culture, preserve your own culture. You could break that up and give it to 5 different museums. And then ask them, can I sit on your board? Can I be an advisor? If you're a celebrity, use your name, use your likeness, use your image, and support. Excuse me. Look, our vision for the future should include every preserved building and making these preserved buildings become classrooms of identity where people can learn about us. Our children can learn from innovators, leaders, creators, builders. You don't have to be famous to be a great person. See, your and my grandmother or grandfather, the things that they did to survive and to make it are noteworthy. Even in and of itself, the strategies that they used to survive and thrive are powerful strategies today in business, in life. Our archives got to become what I call them, like fortresses of knowledge. So in closing, I'm going to say this, and I hope that I've conveyed this to you enough, and I'm holding back so much. So that's why I'm hesitating. The preservation of our history is a collective undertaking. We all have to support it. We all have to do it. And I understand it's so hard because there's so much about us that has to grow up before we unite, before we do for self, before we learn. Most of us have been taught rugged individualism. Most of us are so insecure that everything we do is about hating on somebody else. We think every time the bell rings, it's our fight. It's about us. And I know we got a lot of work to do, but we can do it. But it's a collective undertaking. It's a creative act, a spiritual act. It's a nation building act. See, when what we protect today will become the foundation upon which generations after us stand. We have to become the stewards of our sacred inheritance. And what we choose to preserve now will determine the power, the pride, the prosperity for our future. All right, let me see if y'all got any questions about this. We got a few minutes left. Let me go to the chat here. I see y'all in here. All right. Simram Singh said, can I ask a question? Why history is not what we are expecting in today's time? We need control of everything, and that's the main reason we are no longer to support. I'm not sure I understand your question, Simran Singh. What about the minting, and why startup don't get I don't understand your question. So I'm sorry. It looks like there may be a language barrier, so I don't understand. And sometimes if you're not from our culture, you may not understand what it means to have your culture erased and taken from you. You may not understand what it means to arrive and somebody say to you, you are no longer that person, I'm going to give you a name. You may not understand what it means to have your name taken from you, to be separated from who you are and where you come from. That may be a difficult thing for you to understand. The first time I got a good glimpse of that with the movie Roots. And they kept asking the character that LeVar Burton played, what's your name? And he kept saying, Kuta Kinte. They said, no, we've named you Toby. They even cut off part of his foot because he would not accept the fact that he had to call himself Toby. So it may be difficult. And I see this a lot when I travel around the world from people from other cultures, Black people, other brown people, Arab, Middle Eastern, who look at us and say, what is the big deal? Well, it's easy for you to say, because you may be a parent, you may know your great grandmother. You may have a place where you can see that your ancestors made certain contributions to the society and the culture that you're in. We have been all but erased. And I'm okay if you understand it. We're okay if you don't understand it. And that's the other piece. We have to stop hoping that somebody else understands it. And we have to stop being dictated to by people who don't understand it. It's okay. It don't mean that I don't like you. It don't mean that I don't love you. What it means is that I am on a race and on a mission to preserve my history. And that's important to me. So because I say Black and because I say I love Black doesn't mean that I don't love and respect other cultures. That's the biggest misconception. And it's the biggest propaganda tool that's been used against us. And we have to get over that. And I'm okay if you don't get it. I'm okay if you think it ain't worth it, if it don't matter. I'm okay with that because it matters to me. It matters to us. Nubia Latifa, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate you, sis. Brother Ronald got all these emojis up here. Thank you. And thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions? Even though I could not understand that person's question, do it for the love of it. That's right. Some of us are just weirdos, Sister Nubia. We just really are. We don't realize that, look, Yaqub has turned us into weirdos. We just are. Do it for the love of it. Bless you. Thank you so much for your spiritual insight. All praises due to Allah. Any other questions about the importance? We're going to talk part 2 of this. Again, I understand that it's a mindset shift. You know, we've been 400 plus years in this country where our history has not mattered. So all of a sudden we talking about owning museums and preserving a history when there's been a pattern in the society of erasing our history. I remember when I was doing my DNA research and they said that there were certain aspects of it, like the Fulani tribe that is in my DNA. There's some Caucasian there, but there's some Native American that's actually unidentified. They think it's a certain tribe. Why is it unidentified? Because these people were unalived and erased. So we have no idea. In many cases, we don't know what buildings they built. We don't know if the buildings that we walk past every day were built by Native Americans or built by the people they say that built them. We don't know because so much of the history has been erased. We just don't know. Okay, family. Love you all. See you all tomorrow morning, inshallah, right here, 6 a.m. We're going to continue our discussion. And I hope you bring your questions. Okay, be a friend, tell a friend, bring your questions. Also, make sure you get a copy of The Art and Science of Business. That is my new book. And we will, inshallah, see you all tomorrow evening, 4 p.m. at the Silver Room right here, Hyde Park, Chicago. Don't go anywhere. I got 2 quick commercials I want to show you all. and then we'll be out of here. Okay. So happy Friday. Make it a beautiful day. Happy holidays. Happy Savior's Day. Happy Kwanzaa. Merry Christmas. All of that. Okay. Love you all. And remember, I'm wishing you more goodness than you've ever experienced or imagined. And may this show and all the work that I do help you move to that next level in your life, whatever that next level looks like. All right. We'll see you all. Let's see. Somebody else made another comment. Oh, Brother Ronald, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, and thank you.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible